welcome to HITC Sport. Alright, so Roma. Really? Is that really the best he can do? Jose, I get it. Maybe you utterly despise your wife. And the thought of watching daytime television with her on the couch makes you literally want to rip earwax out of your skull. But do you really hate playing Pictionary with the kids that much? I realize there's not much to do at home right now. Rifling through the soggy wet garbage on Netflix makes you want to punch yourself in the teeth. I mean, if I see one more advert for Tiger King, I think I might actually headbutt the television. But Mourinho's time away from the game, it lasted 15 days. What must have happened in that 2-week period? It was the first time he'd have seen his postman's face in about 2 years. Suddenly he was able to sleep in until noon. But clearly the idea of unemployment made him feel like biting off his own ear, because accepting a job offer from Roma. Listen, I have nothing against Roma. It's an historic club, a beautiful city. But Francesco Totti spent 30 years of his life at that club and lifted 1 league title, 2 Coppa Italias, and that's it. He spent the rest of his time probably weeping in the shower. Yeah, they reached the European Cup final in the 80s, but do you want to talk about the recent European pedigree? Let's have a look at football heritage. This is a club who conceded a combined 13 goals over the last 2 trips to Old Trafford. Let's not forget, they recently conceded 9 goals across 2 games in a Champions League semi-final, and even had the best goalie in the world in nets for that. That was the day Mo Salah turned his former teammates into sloppy tins of dog food. In the last 20 years, they've lost in European competition to the likes of Leeds, Middlesbrough, Panathinaikos, Slovan Bratislava, Fiorentina and CSK Sofia. I'm sorry, but if you're being dumped out of European competition by Steve McLaren, then you should probably consider a change in sport. They are now a mid-table Italian selling club. I think they used up all their energy in trying to keep Totti around for so long, to the point now where they just don't have any motivation to convince their other players. It's a bit like when a short, middle-aged fat accountant with bladder problems on a lifelong subscription to KFC. It's a bit like him spending 30 years desperately trying to hang on to his wife, and then when she finally leaves, it's back to swiping Tinder until his fingers start to bleed. If you don't believe me, right. In recent years, Roma have cashed in on Alisson, Mo Salah, Raja Nangolan, Antonio Rudiger, Miralem Pjanic, Marquinhos, Eric Lamela, Mehdi Benatia, Kevin Strootman, Leandro Paredes, Konstantin Manolas. Good Christ, they couldn't even convince Fabio Borini to stay. And I've seen diseased pigeons poop on a bus with a better goal ratio than him. In recent years, their transfer policy just seems to consist of offering contracts to out-of-form footballers desperate to get their career back on track. Step forward, Ludovic Giuli, Ciccinho, Julio Baptista, John Anarisa, Luca Toni, Adriano, Bojan, Gervinho, Mapo Yangabiwa, Ashley Cole, Javier Pastore, and Bob Bradley's son. Even the likes of Mo Salah, Edin Dzeko, Chris Smalling, Alexander Kolarov, and Henrik Mkhitaryan were all pinned straight from English benches. Do you want to look at managers? It's the same goddamn thing. 2 years ago, they were given the gig to Claudio Ranieri after winning 3 of his 17 games in charge of Fulham. I'm sorry, fishing for a manager 19th in the Premier League who is showing the tactical prowess of a microwave shoe, it's like the CEO of a multi-million company popping down the local homeless shelter for new recruits. So does this now mean that Jose Mourinho is just another down on his luck, big name manager looking to rescue his career? If so, then I'm sorry. This is just sad. It's a bit like finding out those childhood photos of Santa Claus were actually just your creepy uncle happy to let you sit on his lap. Jose, why didn't you wait until the end of the season? You can smell there will be managerial changes in the summer. Good Christ, if Andrea Pirlo manages to keep his Juventus job past Halloween, then I'll eat a bowl of toasted newspaper. When he was sacked at Chelsea in 2015, if he'd just taken the first available job that came, he'd have probably wound up at Valencia. And the same, if he was desperate to land back on his feet within a week of his Manchester United exit in 2018, then he'd have just wound up in Germany with Bayer Leverkusen. Christ, can you imagine what he'd have done to Kai Havertz? So I can't help but think this is a mistake. Apparently Celtic offered him a deal last week. I'm sorry, but Jose Mourinho being handed a work opportunity in Scotland. It's a bit like asking Leonardo DiCaprio to marry a 60-year-old dinner lady with 7 teeth in her head. I mean, this is Jose Mourinho, 3-time Premier League champion, the only man to win a treble in Italy. So yeah, within 6 hours of being unemployed, then being offered a deal to coach a team 23 points behind the Scottish leaders, he'd have probably been scared stiff. It's a bit like coming out of a quick divorce, only to then be propositioned by a 47-year-old grandma who sleeps under a park bench and eats gravel for breakfast. It suddenly makes Roma's offer look a lot more appealing, right? It's a bit disappointing, but on the other hand, please can we applaud the man for taking up a challenge? By the way, the reason I'm clapping like a crippled badger is because I think I broke my thumb playing football yesterday. I'm a left winger, how the hell did this happen? Good Christ, look how swollen it is. But yeah, this guy could have disappeared in Asian football years ago, or agreed to accept a fat paycheck out in Qatar. But no, the man isn't scared to take on a challenge, and Roma It's a fat risk. But right now, the media seem to be hinting that both Chris Smalling and Henrik Mkhitaryan will right now be getting ready to jump into a bonfire. So utterly depressed that their former horrible boss has followed them to Rome. To be fair, while at Man United, Mourinho did say that Mkhitaryan's performance levels were disappointing, and he did practically accuse Smalling of having the pain threshold of an 8-year-old girl. But lads, do you remember when Mourinho rocked up at Old Trafford in 2016? Apparently Juan Mata was now going to cry into a pillow, right? After all, the Portuguese had ruined his Chelsea career in favour of prioritising Oscar. But to be fair, Mata played over 40 times in Mourinho's debut season at Old Trafford, and it's gonna be a similar story here. Forget the fact he mostly resembled Jar Jar Binks on Smack at Old Trafford last week. Smalling has been mostly a defensive rock in Italy, and he's got his career back on track, and doing his level best to ignore the fact that Gareth Southgate would still rather pick Lewis Dunk than give him a call. Honestly, after being utterly rejected by both club and country, Smalling should be proud that he managed to steady his career. Because Christ, look at Joe Hart. He tried to move to Italy in similar circumstances, and right now, the guy's a semi-retired pundit who probably eats mouthfuls of shampoo for lunch. And lads, Mkhitaryan's got 11 goals and 11 assists this season. If the Armenian continues his new lease of life, then no, Jose's not going to just stick his contract in a shredder. Good Christ, earlier this season, he was scoring 5 goals in 2 matches. For 1 week, he was arguably the most informed player in Europe. Don't blame his struggles in England on Jose. Clearly, this guy was about as suited to English football as I am to making TikTok videos. Trust me, after 7 seconds of filming, I'd be getting ready to stick a stapler up my nose. Listen, the Armenian has been off form again in 2021. Of course he has, 0 goals in his last 11 league games, but I really don't think Jose's gonna get rid of him. So please, if you have that lazy narrative, then just go eat an out-of-date banana. It'll be interesting to see if Justin Kluivert gets a second chance at Roma. Let's not forget, Mourinho used to coach his dad at Barcelona, and apparently he wanted to sign this Dutch wonder kid from Man United from Ajax back in 2018. So now he finally has him. But then again, it's a bit like when he went to Tottenham. You know, after spending 18 months drooling over photos of Toby Alderweireld in his Manchester hotel room, now he finally had him face to face. And let's be honest, this season, the Belgian has mostly resembled a defensive cauliflower. Again, apparently he wanted Eric Dyer at Old Trafford. Now he finally had him in his clutches at Spurs. And I'm sorry, I've seen homemade lawnmowers turn quicker than him this season. So maybe next season's when Jose finally realizes that him craving over something that fell out of Paddy Kluivert's ball bag, maybe he was barking up the wrong tree after all. More good news for Roma though. You're probably wondering if Mourinho will even like Edin Dzeko. Well, spoilers, he does. Go back to 2014.
Jose Mourinho says Edin Dzeko should have won Player of the Year award. He behaves, he's fair, he doesn't die.
Jose's always loved the big, strong centre-forward goal machine. And yes, going from a prime Harry Kane to a 35-year-old Dzeko, it's a bit like trading in your Lamborghini for a freewheel tractor. It's a bit like going from eating a 20-ounce steak to licking popcorn off the underside of your shoe. Maybe if they're going to crack the top 4 next season, maybe an upgrade is needed. But to me, again, it's sad. Jose's used to dining in the top transfer market. He used to be rifling through the biggest names in football. But now, with no European football next season, who can he realistically attract? Freebies like Diego Costa and Julian Draxler? The likes of Anwar El Ghazi, Florian Thauvin, Mario Götze? Really? Is this Jose's life now? Why not also do your family food shopping at the bottom of a roadside skip? I mean, come on. To me, this is just sad. When Mourinho triumphantly left Inter Milan in 2010, imagine telling him that when he'd return to Serie A, he'd have to look 7 places down the league. Since leaving Real Madrid, he's taken jobs at a Chelsea team who'd finished 3rd and spent 6 months in the Europa League, and then a Man United team who'd slumped to 5th under Louis van Gaal, and again were stuffed in the Europa League, and then a Tottenham team who are currently 12th in November, and now a mid-table Roma team who just conceded 6th at Old Trafford. You can argue that his attractive job offers have consistently dwindled and decreased year on year. And this just reminds me of Toy Story when Woody gets thrown under the bed. In the eyes of chairmen across Europe, Mourinho is just being left behind and undervalued. Good Christ, we live in a world where Tottenham refused to give him a full season in charge. Tottenham thought they could face a cup final on their own without his help. Money has given these clubs illusions of grandeur. They feel they have a divine right to Champions League football, but please, Roma, if you're appointing Jose, then give him time. Let's not forget, yes, there is still potential in this team, and like Spurs, you were top of the league in November. But I'm sorry, 6 points from your last 12 league games, utterly collapsing in a European semi-final like a bunch of drugged up clowns. Clearly you have a weak spine, and you're prone to choking like a toddler in a ball pit. Why else would you have lost our team from Bulgaria 2 weeks before Christmas? But allow Mourinho to build his own team, and I promise you, he will soon have you challenging for Serie A. You probably all thought that was a laughable notion for Antonio Conte to do that with Inter Milan. Let's not forget, they were also a mid-table Europa League outfit. And when he signed Ashley Young, you probably all thought he should be committed to a home. But lads, look at them now. managerial class, it wins out. Trust me lads, I still have faith in Jose, and I'm gonna say it. If he's backed correctly in the transfer market this summer, and with the likes of Juventus stuck in transition, with the possibility of both Romelu Lukaku and Cristiano Ronaldo being ripped out of the league this summer, with Zlatan Ibrahimovic nearly 40 years of age, then I'm gonna stick my neck out there. If they can sign a 20-goal-a-season striker, get a new goalkeeper and a centre back, then Jose Mourinho is going to win the Serie A title with Roma next season. I know on the face of it, it sounds utterly mental, but lads, let's make a deal here. If Mourinho fails at Roma and gets sacked having done nothing, then I will concede that yes, he is past it, and I will stop banging on about how great he is. In fact, I'll do an entire apology video for all the times I've polluted the internet with me licking his ego like a pizza. But if Jose succeeds, if he wins Roma a piece of silverware, then you all have to mail me cheese sandwiches in the post. Do we have a deal? Right. Come on, Jose. Prove me right. Anyway, that's it. Let me know in the comments below. What do you think? Let me know. Am I barking up the wrong tree with this one? Let me know in the comments if you have enjoyed the video. Don't forget to subscribe. And as always, I'll talk to you in a while.